Well, we finally meet again. Yes, that's right, just over 1.5 years ago here on the channel, Lexus was kind enough to send me my very first press vehicle, and that was the 2023 NX 350H. Well, this week they're kind enough to send out another powertrain configuration, and that is the NX 450H Plus, which is the plug-in hybrid version of the NX, still in the same generation that I tested just over 1.5 years ago. And I'm excited to share my thoughts and opinions on this particular powertrain setup and vehicle in general, including in my range tests, and of course here with my dedicated likes and dislikes. So subscribe and make sure you guys check out those other videos I will be publishing on this exact vehicle here over the coming days. But I'm also very excited to revisit the NX platform in general, given it's been that amount of time. I've had a chance to get behind the wheel of many different vehicles, both that may compete with this in the compact luxury space, or just that, are from other manufacturers across the automotive industry, and see if both my likes and dislikes that I held 1.5 years ago still hold true with this particular vehicle, given it's actually very similarly equipped to that one, just in a different color combination. So with that being said, over my last 6 days with the NX 450H, I've had both a bunch of things I really like, some of which I've mentioned before, some of which might be new to this list, and a few things that I both dislike about it. So without further ado, let's not waste your time and get right into it. So the first thing I absolutely love about the NX in its current iteration is going to be the exterior design. Now, I believe this has been around since the 2022 model year, if I'm not mistaken, and I think it's just a very attractive, handsome, smaller SUV. This nori green absolutely sparkles here in direct sunlight. I know it's a little bit dirty, so I do apologize for that. But if you're looking for kind of a more athletic, outdoorsy vibe, you can get one very similarly equipped to this one with the optional crossbars up there on the roof rails. Gives you a little bit of that black plastic cladding on the outside, but doesn't go overboard with it like some other vehicles on the market. And if you want something a little bit more sporty, F-Sport design, if you will, you can get that particular trim level, which changes some of the black cladding to body color, probably the way I would go if I were to option one of these vehicles myself. And then of course you jump onto the interior. You have 3 or 4 different color combinations you can get depending on the exterior color you choose. And I think as a whole, just the design language, the LED lighting with the triple beam LED headlights on this particular one, with the across the tailgate and the entire width of the vehicle out back, all of it is just very attractive, and I think Lexus did a fantastic job styling the current iteration of the NX. Now, that being said, my second like about the NX is going to be the powertrain availability. As I mentioned in the introduction of this video, there are 4 different powertrains you can get inside of this vehicle. You have the base gas engine, you have the 2.4 liter turbo gas engine, and you have 2 hybrid variants, both the 350H and the 450H. So this one uses the same engine as the standard hybrid. It just bumps the power from the electric motors up with a higher voltage and more powerful battery pack with, of course, much larger capacity. But I like the fact that you can kind of pick your poison, if you will, which give buyers not only customization in the configuration, the trim, and the options and features they want, but also what powers this particular vehicle. And I have to say, when it comes to the hybrid, the 2 different hybrid systems that now I've tested here on the channel, either one is a fantastic choice. It basically will boil down to whether or not you want to really take advantage of plugging this vehicle in overnight, either on 120 or 200 volt power. It has a 7 kilowatt onboard level 2 charger for basically 0 to 100% of that high voltage or usable high voltage battery in about 3 hours, which I actually achieved here charging this vehicle one time on level 2. And even if you don't want to use the level 2 or just the high voltage charging, this vehicle will still get at least in the mid 30 mpgs just running as a standard hybrid. Although I would caution you, if you're going to buy this and don't plan on plugging it in, stick with the standard hybrid vehicle, because it's going to offer very similar fuel economy, very similar performance as a whole, and you won't be lugging around roughly 400 pounds of additional weight from that much larger capacity high voltage battery pack. So I like the fact that you can get just a variety of different powertrains in this vehicle, and I think the plug-in hybrid is certainly very impressive for those that want to take advantage either of shorter commutes or just that roughly 34 to 37 miles of all electric range. But it does come at a hefty price tag, even over that 350H that I tested just over 1.5 years ago. So do take all those factors into consideration. I would like to test out the turbocharged 4-cylinder here in the future to see how that compares and stacks up to the 2 hybrids that I have experience with. But I don't think you can really go wrong with at least 3 out of the 4 different powertrains found under the hood of the NX. Now moving on to my third like with the NX, and this applies to a few different Lexus models also, is going to be the exterior as well as interior door handle design. Now I think I finally understand fully why I actually do like this handle design versus that of a traditional door handle, and I will explain that here in a second. But I think when it comes to just the overall design of this door handle, it looks like that of a normal door handle, but except it doesn't move and uses an electronic release. So there's a little button and pad on the back, you push that and it will actuate the electronic latch, and of course pop out the door just a little bit, and then you can fully open it, get inside, and close it just like that of a normal door handle. Now in addition to that, on the outside, all four have the proximity lock sensors, so you can simply tap this area right here at the front edge, both on the front and the back, and it will allow you to both, lock the vehicle if you're walking away, or, unlock the vehicle, things like that. Now I think what I really enjoy about here on the exterior handles is that although it mimics that of a normal door handle, it doesn't actually have the movement of a normal door handle. So typically when you grab a door handle, there's about an inch to maybe an inch and a half of travel that you have to pull out before the actual mechanism will release the latch, and then you can continue pulling it, to open the door to get in and just, ingress and egress. Now, I think what I really like about this design is because it's fixed in place, it doesn't actually move. It actually gives you more leverage upon just pulling the handle in your, given position that you're standing. So for example, here I'm going to open up the door, you press the latch, it pops it out just a little bit, so it gives you a little bit of additional momentum, if you will, and then you can continue pulling the door, and this handle doesn't actually, move that inch and a half. And I think that just gives you a little bit of additional leverage over that of a standard door, in that maybe you don't have to actually shuffle your feet at all. You can just stand in one fixed position, grab it, open it up, and it's just like one swift, easy to use motion. So I think that is actually why I like this door handle design, and think it's a small advantage over that of a standard setup. Now moving on to the interior door handle setup, I think this continues on to be a very ergonomic design. It has an electronic release button which you press with your thumb. It's kind of naturally where your hand will rest on the interior of the vehicle, and then it does have the manual release mechanism in case the electronics go out or the battery's dead, things like that. So you can simply pull the handle the other way and it will actuate the latch manually. But I think just both inside and outside, the door handles are something I like, and I think this applies to the RX models also. And I think it's, both ergonomic and attractive, given it mimics that of a standard door handle and doesn't look funky like some of those flush type, electronic motorized ones that pop out. Now continuing on to my fourth like, this was also something I mentioned in my last likes and dislikes video. That is the wireless charger actual physical design, not necessarily its performance. Now, taking a look at this design, it's a nice large tray here at the below the infotainment system here in the center console. But the thing that I think it's unique and nice about it is the fact you can slide it into the dashboard. Your phone can stay charging in its place, and it not only keeps you from being distracted. If you like to be distracted by your phone, you can slide it in there, access more USB charging ports or 12-volt outlet down in this area. But it's just a cool, unique design that I've not seen implemented in any other vehicles that I've tested over the last year and a half. So I think Lexus definitely did a good design, giving this a unique flair while also being extremely functional in the overall ergonomics and usage of the cabin. So moving on to my fifth like, it's going to be the digital cluster design as well as the infotainment system. Now I believe this was one of the things that was updated for the 2023 model year NX that I had a year and a half ago here on the channel, but continues to be the offering for 2025 in this particular trim level. So in front of the driver, you have an 8-inch digital cluster with your high voltage battery state of charge on the left side, fuel tank level on the right side, and some additional information around it. And then here you have paired to about a 14-inch digital infotainment system with wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, with the built-in HVAC controls at the bottom of the screen. I just think this is a very attractive layout. Again, this does pertain to some other newer Lexus products that have this either exact setup or a very similar one with a slightly more configurable digital cluster. But I think it's just a very easy to use, ergonomic looking system. It's a very attractive design. I like the physical buttons you have with your volume, power, defroster, and the knobs for the dual zone automatic climate control. And I guess this brings us sort of into my sixth like with this vehicle, and that's going to be the automatic seat climate controls as well as the heated steering wheel. So This is something that not every other manufacturer out there has as a feature inside their vehicle, but more and more as time goes on seem to be figuring this out and starting to offer this function. But automatic heated and ventilated seats and automatic heated steering wheel is something that I use in every single Lexus and Toyota product that I get on press loan, and I think it works extremely well. It's something that the vehicle just manages depending on the exterior ambient temperature, maybe some of the interior cabin temperature, and there might be even sensors in the actual seats themselves to monitor how hot or how cool the actual surface or interior of the seat is. But it just works. It's something that they've truly dialed in, and almost never do I have to override the system to either heat or cool the seat more aggressively or less aggressively, because it's doing almost exactly what I would personally choose to do myself. So I absolutely love this. There's customization you can do in the settings to actually configure this a little bit more. So if you want to be more aggressive or less aggressive, you can do that. And I just, I love the fact it has the auto seats and heated steering wheel, because it's just something that you don't have to think about. It's an automated feature, just like home automation, which I absolutely am a fan of also. Now moving on to my next like, that is gonna have to do with the Mark Levinson Premium Surround Sound Audio System. Now this is about $1,000 upcharge from that of the standard Lexus Premium Audio System that's offered on most configurations of the NX. But I think for about $1,000, the Mark Levinson system is certainly worth at least taking a look at and checking out for yourself if you think it is the right choice for you. I believe it offers about 1,800 watts of amplified output, several more speakers with a dedicated subwoofer in the hatch or trunk area. So if you like audio systems or just like audio in general, listening to music at higher volumes with a little bit more power behind it, I would certainly opt for the Mark Levinson system myself. I think it makes the experience just that more premium and that more luxurious. Now moving on to my next like with the NX, this one's again borrowed from my last list that I made. That's going to be the lock and unlock buttons here on the rear doors themselves. Again, this is a very small feature. Some other vehicles, maybe not so much in the compact space, offer this, but they do offer it across the automotive industry in some of the larger segments specifically. But I think just having lock and unlock buttons here on the back seat for backseat passengers makes it easier. So in case you forget as a driver or a passenger, to let people out or let people into the car, they can do that from the back seat themselves. So I just think it's a small detail that they've added here in the NX, which you don't see in all of the other compact segment luxury SUVs out there, which might be beneficial again in maybe very select use cases, but I don't think it's a high add cost option for them to include that. So appreciate them for doing that. Now, unfortunately, there's still no heated rear seats, which is something I'll be mentioning in my dislikes. Now, I think my next like is still going to be the amount of customization and configurability you can do with the head-up display inside this vehicle. So you can see it out there. I'm not sure if the camera's exactly focusing on that. There it goes. But I have it currently on the full mode, which gives you the most information that's available to be displayed on the display out there. Now, what's nice about this is you can quickly toggle not only some settings and adjustments from the steering wheel controls here on the right side using this little pages icon. You can flip to that, and it gives you a different display as well as the adjustments for that. But you can toggle it here on the quick settings in this menu right here with the tile. Swipe over one time, and this gives you the on-off, full, standard, and minimum mode, which changes the amount of information that's displayed on the head-up display out there. So again, it's on full. We'll put it on standard, which gets rid of, it looks like, some of the driver assistance lane keeping stuff, and then putting it on minimum gets rid of the speed limit and just displays your speed out there, I believe, in front of you, which just allows for, again, a little bit more user customization. So there is full, we have standard, and then we have minimum. So really do like that, and I like how easy it is to adjust that on the fly for driving down the road. Just want to change something about it. It's about 2 taps away, 1 to open the menu, 1 to swipe over, and then a 3rd tap to select exactly which mode of the head-up display you really want. So I think my final like on this list for the NX is going to pertain specifically to the plug-in hybrid performance versus that of the standard hybrid I tested just over 1.5 years ago. So when it comes to these two powertrains, as I mentioned, it uses the same 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder underneath the hood, 2 electric motors, so you have 1 at the front axle, 1 at the rear axle to make it all-wheel drive, although there's no mechanical connection with a drive line between the front and the rear, just uses the dual electric motors and electronic communication to achieve all-wheel drive. But when it comes to the plug-in hybrid benefits over that of the standard hybrid, you get more output from the electric motors because you have a higher voltage, higher capacity electric battery pack, which just gives you a little bit more net output in horsepower and torque from that of the standard hybrid. So you have 304 horsepower combined, and unfortunately they don't provide a torque figure combined for the system, but it definitely does feel more powerful, and I think it gives you at least a half a second 0 to 60 benefit in a straight line speed aspect. And I think just day-to-day usability, because this vehicle can drive on only electricity, it is just a little bit more enjoyable in my opinion. Now, like I said earlier in this video, it does come at a hefty price tag cost to gain that, going from a hybrid to a plug-in hybrid, even with the exact same options and configuration, trim level, things like that. But I have enjoyed the plug-in hybrid very much, and like I said, I'd be curious to compare it to that of the 2.4 liter turbo that's available in some configurations. But I think in terms of enjoyment factor, the plug-in hybrid certainly adds just a little bit more to this vehicle versus that of the standard hybrid. So with all that being said, that's going to do it for my list of likes with this vehicle. Now let's go ahead and move on to my dislikes, or the things that I still either don't love so much about it, or things I've discovered over the last week with this vehicle that I think are a little bit of a drawback. So take a look at my first dislike here with the NX, and I believe this was on my list last time. That is going to be the narrow interior space, specifically here in the two front seats. So the reason I mention this is specifically when you have the door closed on the interior here on the driver's side, I find myself contacting both the left side door panel and the right side center console with my knees while driving. Now, luckily, Lexus was smart enough to pad both the left and right hand side with very nice leather materials, and it's actually not necessarily a comfort issue, at least for me and someone that might be similar to my size and or height. Now, I'm about 5'9". I might have, average size legs, so I'm not overly tall, but I think somebody who is overly tall and or is on the larger side of things in terms of weight might find this interior space just a little bit cramped and a little bit small. So it's specifically narrow here on the two front seats. I don't think the back seats are overly small for the compact space, but just at least do keep that in mind while shopping for an NX. Take a look, sit in one, drive one for yourself, see if it's something that you find comfortable. But I think the interior space, unfortunately, just due to the size and the body style, things like that, could be just a little bit bigger, or is just a slight compromise you make for this vehicle in particular. Now, staying right here on the driver's seat, my second dislike has to do with the amount of travel from the telescopic steering column. Now, this is a power tilt telescopic wheel, which is awesome. It is a nice premium feature, but I think for the amount of travel, specifically in the outwards position in relation to how the seating position is set up, could be a little bit greater. So this is all the way in towards the dashboard, and then pressing the button, releasing it all the way out towards me. I think it should come out just another inch, inch and a half, 2 inches, something like that. Any amount of room outwards would make it just that much better and more, comfortable for my exact seating setup. So again, this pertains to maybe certain seating setups with longer legs or taller individuals, something like that. But I just wish the steering wheel would come out a little bit further, just to make it a little bit more ideal. But I think as it is, it's not the worst thing in the world, something I can actually get around. Now moving on to my third dislike with the NX, and I know for a fact this one was on my last list. That actually has to do with the sunroof tint color. So taking a look here on the interior, it is a sunny day outside, but moving the camera up, hopefully this is coming through on camera, but there is a severe yellow tint to the actual sunroof itself. And I know here from the front seat, say in this area, to the back seat over here, you can see just how yellow it makes this macadamia leather, which is definitely more of a lighter gray, into more of a beige yellow tint back there, anywhere the sunroof glass or the sun is reflecting through the actual glass itself. So again, this is something that might be a very minor complaint depending on if you either get the panoramic roof versus the standard smaller sunroof, or a trim level that might be offered without a sunroof entirely. But just do keep that in mind if you're looking at one of the lighter gray interior colors, and this panoramic roof in particular, is that, if you have the shade open, the sun is reflecting through it, it can make the interior look kind of this little bit, you know, sun faded beige type yellow color, which is not exactly what the color is. It's definitely more like this lighter white gray, which looks absolutely fantastic. Not everybody will like it for, you know, maintenance reasons, but it is better than that, you know, kind of ugly yellow back there. So I'm not exactly sure why Lexus decided to go with this tint on the roof. And I believe these actually quarter panel windows right here are a similar tint versus, you know, the rest of the vehicle and, you know, the normal dark tinted glass back here. But it kind of is what it is. That's what they went with. And it is a little bit unfortunate because I think it just takes away from the interior color and premium feel depending on how you have the sunroof shade open. So moving on to my next dislike here for rear seat occupants specifically, that's going to be the fact that there is no available heated second row seats in this particular vehicle. So I actually realized after looking at the old footage of the hybrid that the NX does in fact offer heated second row seats as well as power folding second row seats all in one package. Now, unfortunately, likely due to some of the equipment or you know, hardware limitations of the plug-in hybrid, you can't unfortunately get that package on this vehicle. So I'm going to leave it on my dislikes. But it is available on select luxury trim levels, is that second row heated seat and power folding package. And I think one other dislike I wanted to add to this video is the fact that the NX plug-in hybrid does not come available with any sort of, you know, export power or a 120 volt plug in the cargo area or in the second row of the vehicle like that of the RX plug-in hybrid. Now, these two vehicles use very similar powertrains. And just unfortunately, Lexus has omitted that option and availability from the NX, which I think is unfortunate. Whenever manufacturers have a high voltage battery pack with, you know, a usable capacity, I think it's a must to have, you know, at least, you know, 1,500, 2,000 watts of, you know, available power on board, if not more when possible. But unfortunately, that for some reasons not available on the NX, and I think that is, you know, a little bit of a drawback. So I think that is going to do it here for my full list of likes and dislikes on the 2025 Lexus NX 450h plug-in hybrid. Now, as you might notice, I removed several dislikes from the list while adding one or two that I discovered this week because I thought those were, at the end of the day, fairly trivial items, such as the push-a-button start location, things like that. Yes, it might be annoying, small annoyance, but I think there's worse designs out there than this particular vehicle. So at the end of the day, my dislikes list is fairly short on this model, and it still is one of my more favorite vehicles I've tested, believe it or not, over the year and a half of you know, doing this. So I want to give you guys a huge shout out and thank you for allowing to do this for really my job, and also Lexus for sending out this vehicle now for a second time in a different configuration here for me to get an idea with and experience for myself. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed this video and or found something helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, check out other content I have coming here on this particular NX and that orange NX that I tested a year and a half ago. And you know, definitely take one for a spin if you guys are at all interested in the NX. You know, check out the plug-in hybrid if you can afford it and or, you know, really want the electrified short commute option or like the way it drives more than that of the standard hybrid, or even the turbocharged 4-cylinder should offer a good amount of performance and punch in a smaller vehicle like this. Will definitely be more lightweight, have of course the mechanical all-wheel drive, stuff like that. But I really don't think you can go wrong offering most of the NX models. I'd probably stick away from that base 250 if it was me personally, but I value performance, some of those other attributes a little bit more than other people, so you might actually find that very sufficient for you, and it certainly will come in at a more affordable price tag. But like I said, let me know your feedback and comments down in the comment section below. Thank you once again for letting me revisit my very first press car. The videos on that one actually did extremely well on the channel, so that was likely one of the reasons that it boosted my availability of manufacturers, at least right away. But certainly I want to give a huge thanks to Lexus and Toyota for, again, continuing to offer and support vehicles for me to test and review. And I definitely look forward to working with them and other manufacturers that I've recently either expanded or continue to work with over the foreseeable future. So with all being said, I appreciate you guys watching these videos. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.